ओम सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां
वन्दे
वन्दे
गुरुपरम्पराम्।
गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ सहना भवतु
भवतु
सहनौ
सहनौ
भुनक्तु
भुनक्तु
सह
सह
वीर्यं
वीर्यं
करवावहै
करवावहै
तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा
तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा
विद्विषावहै
विद्विषावहै। ॐ सहना
ॐ
ॐ
शान्ति
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 शान्तिः।
शान्तिः। नमस्तु
Om
मा
Tat Sat. Om
विद्विषावहै।
Shivaya Namaha.
ॐ शान्ति शान्ति
So
तत्सत्।
we will
नमः
chant
शिवाय।
the eighth verse. We have finished the seventh verse as in the last class. So this is Arjuna Uvacha. So we go ahead with that. Arjuna Uvacha.
अर्जुन उवाच
Nahi prapashyami mama punadyad.
न हि
नहि
प्रपश्यामि
प्रपश्यामि ममापनुद्यात्
ममापनुद्यात्
Nahi prapashyami mama panudyad.
न हि
नहि पश्यामि ममापनुद्यात्
पश्यामि
Yachokamuchoshanamindriyanam.
यक्षोपोषणमिन्द्रियाणाम्
Avapya bhuma vasapatnamriddham.
अवाप्तभूमवसमृद्धम्
Rajyam suranamapi chadhipatyam.
राज्यं
राज्यं
सुराणामधिपत्यम्
Okay, so I'm muting y'all. So these are all, we're entering into more and more difficult words, and I will again repeat that unless you are chanting this regularly to make
We
sense.
can't hear you well, Raviji.
Is that so?
No, it's clear.
Oh, we can
No,
clear.
sir, we can hear you.
It's clear.
We can hear you.
So I think whoever said that, could you please check your own
I think the volume is
volume is more or less?
It's
Is it
fine.
very
No,
low?
it's perfect.
it's very low.
Sir, you are fine.
It's clear. It's clear.
All right, so one needs to be able to know these words, recognize them the moment they are uttered, moment they are heard. Otherwise, the whole purpose of studying the Shastram is lost. So those of you who are not chanting it regularly, I would again request that you make an effort to chant, which is why we run chanting classes. I don't see most of you all over there. But that part is an integral part of the study. If you don't chant, you will find that as we advance, right now we are still in the second chapter, early stages. But as we advance, you will find that I will keep referring to earlier phrases and you will not know where they are. And therefore, chanting is a must. Okay. Those of you who are not in the chanting classes, please enroll. At least if you are not able to do that, please chant at home regularly. Daily chanting is ideal throughout the study of the Gita. And by the time you finish the chanting, you will find that the Gita becomes part of your life. So look at the words. Nahi prapashyami. Then mama panudyat is mama apa anudyat. Mama apa anudyat. Then you have yachokam uchoshanam indriyanam. One compound word. You break that into yat, shokam, uchoshanam, indriyanam. Then avapya is as it is. Bhuma vasapatnam riddham is bhumau, asapatnam riddham. Okay. So these you will get as an you keep chanting, you will keep understanding how to separate it mentally in your head. Avapya bhumau asapatnam riddham. This is the R of a rishi, not R. Riddham. Then Rajyam Suranam Api Cha Adhipatyam. So that is the word Sandhi breakup. And you can write the Anvaya as, you can supply Yasmat Bhumau, so that he is equal to Yasmat, because Bhumau Asmat, ya Bhumau he, Asapatnam Riddham Rajyam, comma, Suranam Api Cha Adhipatyam Avapya, comma, Yad Mama Indriyanam Uchchoshanam Shokam Apanudyat. So Yasmat Bhumau. Bhumau means because on this earth. Bhumau hi, because on this earth. Asapatnam. Asapatnam means unmatched, unrivaled. Better than that, nothing is there. The best. Riddham. Riddham means having lot of wealth, prosperous. Rajyam is kingdom. Suranam. Sura is the gods. So Suranam, Ranam suffix is among the gods. Suranam, among the gods. Api. Suranam api, even among the gods. Adhipatyam. Adhipatyam is becoming an overlord, becoming a king. Adhipatyam is overlordship. Avapya means to gain. Yat, that which. Mama is mine. Indriyanam is senses, sense organs. So the basically your jnanendriyas. Uchchoshanam is drying up. Shokam, sorrow. Apanudyat, removal of, will remove. Prapasyami, see, na prapashyami, I do not see. Okay, so when we look at the actual words together, the sentences together, it will make sense. So look at the individual sentences. So we can break that up. Nahi prapasyami, the first one. Nahi prapasyami means I do not see. I cannot see. Remember yami. Yami is indicative of I. I am doing this job. Prapasyami is seeing. Nahi prapasyami, I do not see. What I don't see. Yat apanudyat. Yat apanudyat. I do not see that which will remove shokam, sorrow. So yat shokam apanudyat. I do not see that which will remove sorrow. And what kind of sorrow is that? Visheshanam to that, the adjectives to sorrow. Uchchoshanam mama indriyanam. That sorrow which is drying up all my senses. And what do you mean when I say I do not see? Even if I were to avapya, even if I were to obtain avapya, asapatnam riddham rajyam bhumau. So that you have to take together. He is saying, I do not see how this sorrow will be removed from me. So yat apanudyat shokam uchchoshanam. This sorrow which is drying up mama indriyanam, I do not see how that sorrow will go away. Yat apanudyat shokam. I do not see how that sorrow will be removed, how that sorrow will go away. Avapya asapatnam riddham rajyam bhumau. Even if avapya, I were to get, I were to obtain, asapatnya, this unrivaled riddham, prosperous rajyam, kingdom, bhumau, on this earth. So even if I were to become the king of this unrivaled, prosperous kingdom on this earth. Okay, so he's talking about the battle. If he wins the battle, he will become the lord of that particular kingdom. And he says, even if I were to become the lord of that kingdom, and not only that, supposing I have become Suranam api adhipatyam, even if I become king of the gods, okay, this is exaggeration. Supposing I become king of this Rajyam, this kingdom, I should be very happy, right? And if I become king of the gods, Suranam api adhipatyam, I should be even more happy. But even then he says, this shokam, which is drying up my sense organs, shokam uchoshanam mama indriyanam, yat apanudyat. I do not see how I can remove that shokam. So it's an expression of depression. Whatever I am going to do, it is not going to help. That is what he's saying. Look at the individual words. Yachokam uchoshanam indriyana. That shokam, that grief, which is so strong that it is drying up all my organs. It is weakening up not only my jnanendriyas, but my karmendriyas also it is weakening. And therefore, my discriminative ability, my intellect also, it is weakening. So he is describing all possible effects which are happening. And mama ana apanudyat. This grief, I don't see how it will go away. Right? So he's saying, Krishna, the winning of this battle is not going to take away this grief. And not only of this battle, even if I become the king of the gods for some reason, I may choose to fight this war over here. I may win this war. How will I win this war? By killing all these people. And therefore, I will get this wonderful kingdom, which is very prosperous. And it's a great kingdom. The size of it, the wealth in it cannot be matched anywhere else. So, Sapatna Riddham Rajyam, I will get. Not only that, supposing, even if I was going to become the Suranam api Adhipatyam, the king of the gods also, even then the problem is not sorted out for me. Okay, because the problem is of sorrow. And how will all these things sorted out for me? So he's saying that, hey Krishna, money is not a solution over here. Wealth and money and fame is not a solution. It cannot remove problem of sorrow. Money might buy a bed, but money cannot buy sleep. It cannot buy peace. Money can buy food, but money cannot satisfy hunger. Money can buy a house, but money cannot buy a home. And most importantly, he is saying, Krishna, money can buy me people, but money cannot buy me friends. So he is very sad. Okay. Now here, the important thing to understand is, you as such, when we say we are sad, we have to understand that sadness is already existing. So only those people who have these feelings inside can become sad. A happy person cannot become sad. If you say that I'm happy all the time, most of the time, but I'm sad, you have to understand that that sorrow is somewhere there. Some problem is there inside. And this is the problem which we are trying to trace out. What exactly is the problem? Okay. So here we have said. Now, one of the important points which are being brought out here is that this life is given for what purpose? It's given for attaining moksha. And the one who leaves this world without getting moksha has not achieved his purpose. And therefore he is a miser. Right? So remember the word karpanya doshaha in the earlier chapter. So Arjuna is referring to the person who has not achieved his purpose. Kripanaha. Shastra says that if you have not achieved the purpose of your life, you are a Kripanaha. And therefore, for every one of us, two courses of life are open, Shreyas and Prayas. Shreyas is that which is good for us. Prayas is that which is pleasant for us. So like, for example, I know that, I love ice cream, okay? Strawberry ice cream, I love. It is pleasant for me. But before a class, I will not eat the ice cream because though it is pleasant, it is not good. It might affect my throat, so I don't eat the ice cream. Difference between prayas and shreyas, one should always know. So here, Arjuna is saying that this problem of samsara, it cannot be sorted out by worldly achievements. Just by winning this battle, I am not going to get rid of the sorrow. And therefore, hey Krishna, I am coming to you for a solution. Because I have discovered that getting more and more material things is not going to, solve this problem of mine. And therefore, I have to go leave the material goals aside and I have to go to a spiritual goal. And acquiring a spiritual goal means I have to go to a guru. And the sooner I discover it, the better. Okay. So some people discover this very early. Like if you can look at this very group, you will find that there are people, this group of us, who are in the 20s. You will find there are people who are in 30s. You will find that people who are in 50s, 60s, 70s. So people discover this goal at some point of their life. A lot depending upon prarabdha, a lot depending upon their own intellectual bent. And some people, they don't discover it at all. Okay, so the sooner you discover, the better. Now, having said this, he has told Krishna that, Krishna, I have surrendered to you. Where did he say that? He said it in the last sloka where he said, Shishyasteham Shadimam Vam Prapannam. Hey Krishna, I have surrendered to you. Why did I surrender to you? Because I have realized that more and more material achievements, getting a kingdom is not a solution for my sorrow. There is something beyond that. Having said that, Arjuna keeps quiet. So Krishna has not yet started to talk. And therefore, somebody has to talk now. Ultimately, it's a Shastram. Therefore, Sanjaya is coming up with a small little dialogue. So we'll read that. We'll read 2.09 first. So please unmute yourself. Sanjaya Uvacha.
Sanjaya Uvacha.
Evam Uktva Rishikesham.
Rishikesham
Kudakeshah Parantapaha. Remember, there is a Visarga after that, followed by a Pa. And therefore, what is the chanting rule? The Visarga turns into Pa. So, Kudakeshah Parantapaha. Nayotse iti govindam. Uktva tushnim babhuvaha. Okay, so I am muting you all again. And now look at the words. Sanjaya Uvacha, Sanjaya said, Evam Uktva, Evam Halant Beloma, Uktva, Rishikesham. I will again request you, please do not unmute yourself. Rishikesham, Guda Keshaha, then Parantapaha. Okay. Then Nayotsa iti Govindam uktva tushnim babuvaha. So let us look at the sentences. Anvaya. So Anvaya can be broken into two pieces. Sanjaya uvacha. Sanjaya said. Sanjaya said to whom?
Dhritarashtra.
Don't forget that. Okay, Sanjaya didn't say to Krishna or to Arjuna. Sanjaya is in the palace. Sanjaya said to Dhritarashtra.
Dhritarashtra.
What did he say? Gudakeshaha parantapaha evam rishikesham uktva. So, uktva, having spoken, rishikesham. Rishikesham is Dvitiya Vibhakti. So now, subject case, it's object case, having spoken to Krishna, to Rishikesha. Evam uktva, having spoken in this manner to Rishikesha. Rishikesham. How do you know Arjuna spoke Gudakesha? Pratama Vibhakti, Visarga indicates Gudakesha is the subject. So Arjuna Gudakesha, Evam uktva, in this manner, having spoken to Rishikesham. Okay, that is the first one. He spoke in this manner to Rishikesh. Which manner? All those previous verses, which is starting from where? Starting from verse number 4 to verse number 8. Okay. Because we're talking about second chapter, these 7-8 verses he has spoken. And then, what did he say? Parantapaha. So Parantapaha here. Sorry?
No, sorry, nothing.
Yeah, please keep yourself muted. Parantapaha, the scorcher of force. Parantapaha means one who burns enemies. Again, Arjuna, Uktva Govindam. Okay, so again the same thing they repeated. Parantapaha, Uktva Govindam.
Please explain Parantapaha again, sir.
Parantapaha. Paran is the enemy, Tapaha is the burner. So Parantapaha, the one who kills enemies, scorcher of foes. Okay, so it's a word used for Arjuna. What did he say? Na yotsya, I shall not fight. And Tushnim Babuva. Tushnim means silent. Babuva is became. So na yotsya iti Govindam, spoke to Govindam in this manner, I will not fight. And then Tushnim Babuva, he became quiet. So plain English, having spoken in this manner to Krishna, Arjuna, the burner of enemies, said, I will not fight. Parantapaha Gudakesha. Okay.
What is meant by
1 minute,
Gudakesha?
I'm coming to that. Please wait. So, Gudakesha is Gudaka Isha. Isha means the master of. Gudaka means Tamagunaha. Okay. So, Gudaka Isha means Gudakesha, the one who is the master of Tamagunaha, which is reference to Arjuna, because Arjuna had mastered sleep. Tamagunaha means sleep. Why did he need to master sleep? Because he had to fight the demons most of the time, and the demons are most active in the night. And therefore, Arjuna, if he wanted to be a person who wanted to fight them, who had to fight demons, he had to fight in the night, which means he had to keep awake. And therefore, he is called Gudakesha, the master of Tamoguna. Basically means the one who is able to control his sleep, not fall asleep in the night, and continue with his activity of, killing demons or fighting demons. Okay. So what are we talking about? We are talking about the fact that what kind of mind is there? And here, Tamagunaha means the person who is able, for us, for Arjuna, of course, Tamagunaha means he is a person who is, Gudakesha, person who has fought Tamagunaha, is able to control himself. For us, we have to extract it saying that our intellect has normally goes from Sattvam to Tamas. The intellect always moves from Sattvam to Tamas. Okay. And therefore it is like a pendulum. On some days it is extremely rajasic. It wanders all over. And on such days you might find that you will be sitting with a book in hand or sitting in front of the TV for 1 hour also, but nothing has gone into your mind because your mind has gone far away. It's very active. It is roaming around the world. It's roaming in your office. It's roaming in your own house, but it's not there on your job. And therefore, that's a very rajasic mind, rajasic pradhana mind, we call it. And the other portion is that you are, the other extreme is the mind is tamasic. It's very dull mind. It is not able to do anything. That mind also cannot pay attention. So you have on one side you have a sattvic mind, on a rajasic mind, which is so rajasic that you are not able to concentrate on anything. And the other side you have a tamasic mind, which is so inactive that again you are not able to concentrate on anything. But you have to have, for the purpose of this study, the purpose of studying Vedanta, you have to have a sattvic mind, which is a mind which is not extroverted like the rajasic mind, but not dull mind like the tamasic mind. So neither of these qualities should be there. It should be a non-extroverted, alert mind. And that mind is called sattvic mind. And that is the reason why he says Rishikesha. Rishika is what? Sense organs. Eshaha is the Lord. So Rishikeshaha is the Lord of the sense organs. So the meaning of Rishikesha. Okay, the Lord of the sense organs. And that is supposed to be Ishvara, Krishna. What does it mean? The Lord of sense organs means because of which the sense organs function. And also it can mean, more importantly, that Ishvara knows Arjuna's mental condition. Krishna knows Arjuna's mental condition. That is why Sanjay is saying Rishikesha. This person who is the Lord of the mind means what? Lord of all the sense organs and the Antakaranam also. And if he is the Lord, he will know the Antakaranam, right? And therefore, Krishna knows the mental state of Arjuna, but he doesn't say anything because he wants Arjuna to finish talking. And Arjuna has finished talking. And now Sanjay is telling Dhritarashtra that Krishna actually knew that Arjuna did not want to fight, but he didn't say anything. He waited till Arjuna told him, Na yotse iti govindam uktva. Hey Krishna, I am not going to fight this war. He has said that. Okay. Now, one important thing to be noted here is that normally if I say I'm not going to do anything, what would I do? I would walk away from there, right? I don't want to fight this war, hey Krishna. I'll throw my bow and arrow and I will walk away. What did Arjuna do?
He sat there.
He just
He sat down.
What does it indicate?
Doesn't want to go away.
He surrendered.
He
knows
doesn't want to go away too.
There is another option.
So he's not very
Indecisive.
sure of his statement. He's saying that I don't want to fight this war, but he's not very sure whether fighting is right or wrong.
His doubt.
He is
State
doubtful.
of doubt.
And therefore he says, hey Arjuna, hey Krishna, I am sitting here. I am not going to run away from the battle as I want to, because I am not very sure whether running away is right or wrong. And therefore, I am not going to do either of them. And I will wait from you, wait till you talk to me, till you tell me, and thereafter I will decide. So he says, I will decide only after you have advised me, hey Krishna. That is what he is meaning. And therefore he sits down there.
Raviji?
Yeah.
Babuvaha. What does babuvaha mean?
Babuha means remained. Tushni babuha became silent.
Tushni is silent. Babuvaha is remain.
Remaining or becoming. So remaining
Okay.
silent.
Thank you, Ji. Thank you.
Okay. Now, another word used, Govindam. Okay, so that also is an important word. We'll see There is a Sanskrit derivation for it. Gam Vindati iti Govindaha. The one who protects the world is Govinda. So that is the Dharma Shastra meaning. Okay, there is another philosophical meaning in the Upanishads. So go can be taken as the scripture itself, a Shastram itself. Vindaha means the one who can be understood. So the one who can be understood only through only through the scriptures, he is called Govinda. That is another meaning. That is this Upanishadic meaning. This other one is simply, Dharma Shastra meaning is simply Gam Vindati Govinda. The one who protects the world is Govinda. The one who can be understood through Shastram, that is also Govinda. It's a very important, the word itself indicates, Govinda in the Upanishadic sense itself indicates that Govinda, that Krishna can be understood only through the Shastra. His true nature cannot be known through any other method. So Gopihi Veda Shabda Pramanena Eva Vidyati. The one who is known only through Veda Shabda Pramana. He is Govinda. Right? And to such a Lord, Arjuna surrendered, and therefore he says, Uktva Babhuva Tushni. Having said so, he became silent. Okay. This is.
Can you tell the meaning of Gam Vindanti iti Govindam again?
Gam is Gam. So it can be taken as a village or it can be taken as the world. Vindati can be taken as protection. So Gam Vindati iti Govinda. The one who protects the Gam is the word, is Krishna, is Govinda.
Okay, thank you.
All right. So we'll chant the 10th verse. Tamuvacha Rishikeshaha
Tamuvacha
Vacha
Rishikeshah
Asanniva Bharata
Prasanniva Bharata
Senayor Ubhayor Madhye
Senayor Ubayor Madhye
Vishidantamidam Vachaha.
Vidam Vachaha.
Okay. Now, let us look at the sentence. It's a pretty simple sentence, so we'll look at it. He says that, Hey Bharata. So Bharata is a meaning descendant of the Bharata race. So that's addressed to Arjuna. Hey Bharata. Here, Hey Bharata, incidentally, I'm sorry, it is not Arjuna. Who should it be?
Dhritarashtra.
Why? Because Sanjay is speaking, right? So, Hey Bharata, Hey Dhritarashtra. Senoyor Ubhayoho Madhye. Senoyoho Ubhayoho Madhye. In the middle of both the armies. Senayo, Ubhayoho Senayo, both armies. Madhye, middle. In the middle of both armies, Rishikeshaha Prahasanna Eva, as if smiling. Krishna was as if smiling. Prahasanna means smiling. Eva is as if. So Krishna not actually smiling, but as if smiling. Krishna Rishikesha Prahasanna Eva, as if smiling. Tam Uvacha. To that Arjuna he said, which Arjuna? Vishidantam, the one who was grieving. Vishidantam is Visheshanam to Tam. Tam means that. That person means Arjuna over here. So to that Arjuna, who was in grief, what did Krishna do? Idam Vachaha Uvacha. These words he spoke. These words now, Idam Vachaha refers to the next sloka, which is verse number 11. Okay, so Sanjay continuing over here. Rishikesham Tamavacha, Krishna said to Arjuna, Idam Vachaham. So Idam Vachaha means you have to take it in the broad sense. And the broad sense, Idam vachaha means whatever Krishna has spoken after this. And from the point of view of Shastram, this is the entire teaching. So idam vachaha here refers to the 11th verse of the second chapter and onwards, ending at the 66th verse of the 18th chapter. The entire teaching is contained between 211 and 1866. So idam vachaha has to be taken in its broadest sense to mean all the words that Krishna spoke between the 11th verse of this chapter and including 66th verse of the 18th chapter. Okay. And where did he teach? He was standing in the middle of the army, both the armies, Senayoho Ubhayo Madhye, and Prasanna Eva. Why was LK smiling? Why was Krishna smiling? Because he had expected this to happen. He knew that, that's why he said Rishikesha. He knew Arjuna's mind. He knew that Arjuna was sooner or later going to want to come to him and say, please teach me because I am not able to make up my mind. Right? Now, also one more very important thing. Senayoho Ubhayo Madhye. Where did he teach? In the battlefield. The battlefield is not a quiet place. But he began to teach in the battlefield itself. He did not go to a forest. He did not go to a Gurukulam. So what is being said is that what is required for teaching is not the place. The place is completely irrelevant. What is required is the teacher and the student should come together and both should have a proper attitude. Okay. So this verse number 11 to verse number 86 is talking about removal of grief. Verse number 11 to verse number 86 is talking about removal of grief. And this is the entire, Tatparyam of the Gita, removal of grief. And therefore the teaching begins from the next verse. I will just unmute you all because I have, from now on, I'm going to unmute you all, mute you all without the, option of your unmuting yourself. Because I'm finding that in spite of repeated reminders, you all are still somebody's keeping themselves open. So right now I'm unmuting. Let us chant together. So please unmute yourself. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Ashocyanan Vashocastvam Ashocyan Anvashocastvam Pragnya Vadamscha Bhashase Gatasu Nagatasumscha Anushocanti Panditaha. So most of you all are struggling with the words, which is why I'm telling you again and again, please do chant. Without that, you will find that you will not be able to properly understand. Okay, please join your chanting classes or chant at home, but chanting is a must. Okay, so let us look at the grammar part first. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha is fairly clear. Ashocyan Anvashocastvam. Break it into Ashocyan, got a halant below the na, plus Anvashochaha with a visarga, plus Tvam. So Ashocyan Anvashocha Tvam. Then pragnya plus vadan plus cha. So pragnya vadan halant below the na. Pragnya vadan cha bhashase. Then gatasuna and agatasuna cha plus na. So na anusochanti is na plus anusochanti panditaha. Visarga is there. And the Anvaya is Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Tvam Ashocyan Anvashochaha Kama. Tvam Ashocyan Anvashochaha Kama. Cha Pragnya Vadan Bhashase. Full stop. Then Panditaha Gata Asuna Agata Asuna Cha Na Anusochanti. Okay, now the word meanings are Tvam is you. So I'll explain these words in detail, simply giving you the literal meanings. Ashocyan, that which is not to be grieved about, for which you should have no sorrow, Ashocyan. Anvashochaha, you are grieving for. Pragnya is words of knowledge. Vadan, Pragnya Vadan. Vadan is words, Pragnya is knowledge. Pragnya Vadan is words of wisdom or words of knowledge. Bhashase, you are speaking. Panditaha, the wise people. Gata Asuna, Gatasuna, those whose breath has gone away. Those whose breathing is gone. So that Gatasuna means that person who is dead, whose Gata is the breathing that has gone away. Gata Asuna, Asuna is the breath, it's gone. Then Agata Asuna, that breath is not gone. So those people who are still living. Then Anusochanti is grieving, na Anusochanti is not grieving. All right. So very simply, let's put it back into words, into sentence form. Tvam Ashocyan Anvashochaha. Tvam is you. You are grieving Anvashochaha for Ashocyan, for those who should not be grieved about. Very, very crucial part of the teaching, and we'll take a long time to explain this. Then second portion, you have to supply here Tvam. Tvam is not given here. As I said before, in all Anvaya, you can mentally supply these things. Tvam is you. Tvam Pragnya Vadan Bhashase. You are speaking wise words. Tvam Pragnya Vadan Bhashase. You are speaking wise words. And one more sentence is Panditaha, the wise man, the Jnani, na Anusochanti, does not grieve for Gatasuna, people from whom the life breath has gone, which means people who are dead. Cha and Agatasunaha, people from whom the life breath has not gone. So for people who are living. So briefly in English, hey Arjuna, you are grieving for those who should not be grieved for, full stop. At the same time, you are speaking like a wise person. But remember, Arjuna, wise people do not grieve for the dead or for the living. So is that much clear? I'll explain each of these, but is this basic idea is clear what this verse is saying?
Yes, Ji, very clear.
Basically, this verse is
Yes,
simply
very
saying
clear.
that Krishna is actually laughing at Arjuna. Okay, Krishna is saying, Arjuna, you are speaking like a wise man. Okay, now what is this wise man talking about? All all the verses which he has talked about in the first chapter. He talked about the family and the effect of war on the family, all those. Those are all words of scholars, of jnanis. So Krishna is saying, hey Arjuna, you are speaking like a wise man. You think you are very wise. But the fact is, the very definition of a wise man is what? The person who's not having sorrow either for the living or for the dead. And you are nothing but sorrowful. Because everything that you have said to me is that you are sorrowful. Therefore, Arjuna, you are not a wise man. Krishna's basic thing is, in spite of your telling me all these wise words, it is all superficial. You are not understood at all. Okay. Now, before beginning this sloka, remember, is the beginning of the teaching. Okay, it's a very, very important sloka. So we will be spending maybe 1, maybe 2 classes for it. And so each word we'll define. But before beginning, we need a little background. So there is something called Anubandha Chatushtayam. Okay. And there is a little sloka. So its sloka goes, Adhikari cha vishayaha sambandhascha prayojanam shastraramba phalam proktam Anubandha Chatushtayam. This is a small little sloka which defines what is called a Anubandha Chatushtaya. Okay, Anubandha means connection. And Chatushtaya means 4. There are 4 connections which you have to understand before you begin any Shastra. And they are called Anubandha Chatushtaya. What are they? Adhikari cha Vishayaha. First Adhikari. Second is Vishayaha. Sambandhascha Prayojanam. Sambandha and Prayojanam. Adhikari, Vishaya, Sambandha, Prayojanam. These are 4 things which have to be studied, where Shastra Ramba Phalam Proktam. Before the Shastra can be studied, or during the study of Shastra, you have to know what these are. And what are they called? Proktam Anubandha Chatushtaya. They are called the Anubandha Chatushtaya. It's a very, very important thing.
Could you please repeat the verse little slowly, Ji?
No, it will be there in your, what you call, it's not waste time. It will be there in your recording. Okay, so, right. Now, we are talking about the Sambandha. The important word is Sambandha. Okay, the relationship between the work or the text and the subject is called Sambandha. Now, there is this text and the subject, we'll come to that. First, let us look at what is the Prayojanam. The Prayojanam means what is the okay, let's go by verse. Okay, word by word. We'll first take Adhikari. Adhikari cha Vishaya cha. So what is the Adhikari? The Adhikari you should know. Who is the Adhikari?
Who is eligible, or who is somebody who deserves Adhikari,
Qualified.
So what
or is ready for qualified.
No, I want technical definition. You have all studied Tattva Bodha. What is Adhikari?
One who is qualified to receive knowledge.
No English. Quote from Tattva Bodha. Who is Adhikari?
The one who has sadhana chatushtayam.
The one who is sadhana chatushtaya sampannaha. Okay. The correct words are sadhana chatushtaya sampannaha. The one who is endowed with sadhana chatushtayam. He is the Adhikari. What is sadhana chatushtayam?
Vivek, Vairagya, Sat, Sampat, Mumukshva.
And
Shraddha,
Shatak Sampatti,
Viveka, Vairagya,
Vairagya,
Shat
Shat
Sampatti,
Sampatti,
Mumukshutvam.
Moksha.
Right. So this is the Adhikari. Now, which means what? He has removed Mala and Vikshepa. Mala is impurity of the mind, which he has removed through Nishkama Karma Yoga. Vikshepa is restlessness of the mind, which he has removed through Upasana. And therefore, the one who has got the Mala removed and Vikshepa removed He's got chitta shuddhi. He's got a one-pointed mind. And therefore, he is endowed with the ability to reason. So we call that yukti. He is endowed with the ability to do reasoning, yukti. He has the amarthyam also, ability to understand. And he has buddhi also, sharp intellect. Okay. So in one of his works, Swami Shivananda subdivides these adhikaris into two types of adhikaris. He says Kritopasaka and Akritopasaka. So he says, Swamiji says that whoever has done or is able to do full concentration of mind, just full Saguna Upasana, he is called a Kritopasaka, which means he has got Ekagrata, one-pointed mind. Okay. And the person who is not got this full Ekagrata, but who is still doing Upasana regularly, so his Upasana is not complete because full concentration is not there. But he is still doing, and therefore he has got partial concentration of mind, and therefore he is called a Akritopasaka. Person who is not full Upasaka, but so you have Adhikari who is 100% Sadhana Chatusha Sampanna. So he is a Kritopasaka. Adhikari who is trying regularly, and he may have at least a good concentration of mind, but not complete because he's got some Viparita Bhavana, some negative thoughts are also there. That is the second type of Adhikari. We are not, looking down upon. Swami Shivananda is just saying that these are the two types. And why should we know? Because we should know in which type we fall. And I'm sure we can decide. Most of us fall where?
Akrato.
Very few of us, if at all anybody, will be Kritopasaka. Okay. That is number one. That is the Adhikari. So what did I say? Adhikari cha Vishayaha. So Vishaya is the second one. Vishaya means subject matter. That is very simple. What is subject matter of study? Atma Jnanam. Remember here one very important distinction. Very many people say subject matter of the scripture of Bhagavad Gita is moksha. But it is not. Subject matter of Bhagavad Gita is not moksha. Subject matter is Atma Jnanam alone. Okay. The prayojanam of Atma Jnanam is moksha. A very clear distinction. Vishaya means Atma Jnanam. Prayojanam means Jnana Phalam. The fruit of having that Jnanam, that's moksha. Therefore, the Vishaya is Atma Jnanam. The Prayojanam is moksha. And therefore, the relationship is Jnana Phalayo Madhye, which means what? Between the Atma Jnanam and between its fruit. Jnana Phalayoho Madhye. What is the relationship? Janaka Janya Sambandha. Are you able to understand?
Yes.
Jnana Phalayoho Madhye, the relation between Atma Jnanam and the Jnana Phalam, which is moksha, is Janaka Janya Sambandhe, is the
Like parent-child.
parent-child relationship. One gives, one creates, one is the created. And therefore, Jnana Phalam is the parent, moksha is the child. So without the parent, the child can never come. Which means, if you want moksha, what must you have?
Atma Jnanam.
Atma Jnanam.
Okay, so we have done three. We have done Adhikari, Vishayaha, Prayojanam, and now Sambandha. Sambandha is very clean. Sambandha means what? Connection. What is the connection between? And the moment you say Sambandha, you have at least two things. You cannot have Sambandha with itself. Connection cannot be without two things. And therefore, see, actually you can select any two things. You can select what? You can select the text, the grantha, and you can select the subject matter also. So you can say the connection can be between the text and the Vishaya, the grantha and the Vishaya. Okay. What is the connection? The connection is that the text reveals the subject. The text teaches you, so we say reveals. Text reveals to you the subject. So one is the revealer, the Grantha is the revealer, and the Vishaya is the revealed. The revealer reveals the revealed. So the text reveals what?
The subject.
Atmagyanam. So Grantaha reveals Atmagyanam. So there is a technical word for this which you should know. The revealer in Sanskrit is called Pratipadhaka. The revealed is called Pratipadhya. So the sambandha is between the text and the subject. The sambandha is Pratipadaka, Pratipadhya sambandha. Okay. So if you want to put it in Sanskrit, Grantoho Vishayoho Madhye Pratipadaka, Pratipadhyaha sambandha asti. Between the text and the subject matter, there is a revealer revealed connection. Okay. Now remember, you can have any two things, right? Sambandha can be any two things. For example, you can say that why text and Vishaya, why not Adhikari and Vishaya? So what is the connection between the Adhikari, the student, and the subject matter? It is called the Adhyetra Adhita Sambandha. The learner and learned Sambandha. Okay. So you can take any two and you can think of the Sambandha between the two. It's an interesting exercise. But normally, when you say Sambandha in any scriptural text, the meaning taken is Pratipadhya Pratipadhaka Sambandha. The revealer, the revealed Sambandha. Okay. Is that okay? Clear?
Yes.
All right. Now it's, I'll just say a couple of things more because the actual discussion of
Sir,
the
one
verse-
question.
Yes.
Sir, one question. Now, it's a revealer and revealed, right? It's what's written in the text. Am I correct?
Yeah. Subject matter.
So subject matter and text are two different things.
Yes.
What's the difference?
The text reveals to you the Atmajnanam.
And subject matter is
Is
the
Atmajnanam.
person who.
No, subject matter is
Atmajnanam.
Atmajnanam.
Okay. Then in that case, people read text as well, right? So don't they get Atmajnanam from
No,
that?
they
If that
don't.
is the case, they don't.
They don't.
They have to go to Guru itself for
That is what
Atmajnanam.
Shastram says. That
Okay.
all discussions we'll do in great detail, why and when, but at the appropriate places. Okay.
Okay.
Right. Now, here, before we start, I'll just ask you to look at the last two words of the 11th verse. Na anushochanti panditaha. So in Shastram, pandita means, pandita comes from
Wise.
Sanskrit word panda, which means knowledge. So panditaha means one who has got panda, knowledge. Whenever we say knowledge in Sanskritam or in Shastram, the knowledge automatically means Atmajnanam only. And therefore he says, Panditaha, the one who has Atmajnanam, na anushochanti, he will not grieve at all. So this is a very important verse because in this verse, not only the Bhagavad Gita, but all the Upanishads, all the scriptures are condensed. And we can put the entire Gita Shastram in two lines. We can say Atma Ajnanam Samsara Karanam, Atma Jnanam Moksha Karanam. So anybody asks you, what is the Gita? You simply quote this. Atma Jnanam Samsara Karanam, Atma Jnanam Moksha Karanam. This is Gita Saraha. This key statement only is going to be elaborated in the entire 18 chapters. So with this, we'll stop in case you have anything more to say.
Raviji, I just wanted to understand the prayojanam part. How will we just define it very quickly?
Prayojanam is the result. What is the result of Atmagyanam? Moksha.
Moksha. It could be purpose also, no? Uddesha.
Prayojanam is not Uddesha. Prayojanam means the result. What is the prayojanam of drinking water?
Quenching thirst.
That is the prayojanam. The effect which comes around is the prayojanam.
Benefits?
You can say benefit, yes.
But when we say benefit, that was the purpose. We drank water because we wanted to
Purpose is
quench our
before.
thirst.
Benefit is
Oh.
after.
Okay, yeah, that's
Please remember,
right.
it's in Gita or in Gita study, Vedantic study. Don't, use preconceived notions. Each word has, that's why, in fact, actually speaking, if you're really studying in the very shastric manner, each word is taken apart at the very root grammatical level and put together. We are not doing that. I'm giving you upper say. But you must understand each word in the manner in which the scripture uses, not in the manner in which we are used to seeing. Because there are a lot of Hindi words which we come across in normal language. There are a lot of English words which we come across in normal language. And because of our education, we tend to use these English words to understand the Sanskrit words. Those are all incorrect ways. You have to understand it as the scripture intends to teach.
So Anu in Anusochanti means what, sir?
Anu means to follow. To follow grief. Anusochanti means you are following grief. You are going behind grief. Which means basically you are grieving. It's a very picturesque way of putting it.
Sir, one more question here. It's a little general. If I'm not able to attend the chanting classes, how my daily chanting sadhana should be? Should I be chanting only those verses which has been taught, or should I pick up?
You should actually, why are you not able to attend the classes at all? There are morning and evening classes. You can attend one of them in a week, you can attend, no?
Well, there are reasons.
All right. So whatever it is, you have to learn to chant. And if you can't, then you'll find that in the chanting group, sometimes the teachers put in the verses. So pick it up from there and chant accordingly. The verses are MP3s of the verses are put in the groups. Take that and learn to chant. Or you can simply go to any teacher anywhere and learn to. Chanting is a must. Without that, there's no way.
If I'm doing it on my own, should I pick
You're
up?
doing it on your own without a teacher, you're doing it wrong.
No. Whatever we have been studying on Sunday. So generally, I chant only those verses throughout the week.
That's not sufficient. You have to chant the chapter by chapter.
Okay.
So you have to take from somewhere, complete chapter and chant.
Okay.
Sir, just a quick question. Why does Krishna chose to start teaching with Atmanyanam and then he teaches Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga later? What is the logic behind it?
Oh, Krishna being Krishna, I suppose. Difficult to explain.
No, I remember somewhere you're explaining that, but now I don't remember it.
Yeah, he's just being, make things difficult for us. First, give the most difficult subject and then choose lesser subjects.
So I love the abbreviation you used for him, LK.
Yeah, LK.
Okay, thank you.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. And I'll again repeat. Please revise all that we have done, especially from now onwards. Every single verse you need to revise. Because up till now, it has been time pass, okay? Stories and all that. From now, it is the teaching. So if you come to a class without understanding what you have said in the previous class, you are going to lose track. So please revise, make notes during the week. That's why we have kept this whole thing 1 week apart. In that 1 week, you should at least hear the class once more and make notes of the important items and keep that notes separately. Like what I used to do was I used to put the PCAs or in one whole sheet, I've got whatever I've studied, one whole Word document. The same thing you should do. It's probably the best way to. And Word has an advantage that if your understanding improves, you can simply change it over there again, without any major. Just go to the Word document and put in your revised understanding. And believe me, over the time, any understanding which you have now will get refined over a period of time. That is how the whole teaching is. You introduce a certain thing. It's like, you give the child first some cereal, and then you give some milk, and then you give some rice, and then you give chapatis. So slowly, the complexity of the teaching increases.
What is LK? Sorry, I may have missed it somewhere.
I will leave it to do some mananam over it. What is LK?
Okay.
Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate
Purnamudachyate,
Purnamamadaya Purnamevavasishyate Om Shanti 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 Om Tat Sat. Om Namah Shivaya. Thank you for your patience, guys.
Thank you, Guruji. Thank you so much.